what is it particularly about the nature of Islam that you feel contacted you?
Well, I certainly wouldn't have been able to accept Islam if it was like full of superstitions and things which couldn't relate to the real world, right? And that, I would say, is the key. Because when I started reading the Koran, one of the things that just I woke up to was the Koran is full of directives to make you think, not to make you follow rituals, but to make you first of all think. So then it talks about, for instance, and I don't know any other scripture that does it to this degree, where it points you to the sun, it points you to the moon, and says, these are creations of God. And the night and the day is a miracle, and the fact that water falls and produces fruits and animals eat those grass and greenery and everything, all this is like signposts telling you that there is a creator and an almighty intellect behind everything that you see right there in front of you. That's very, very important, because it didn't mean I had to, believe some kind of unseen, dogma without having perfect evidence in front of me. And let me just tell you one more thing, because there was this missing part of the story, which was just before I got the Quran. I was swimming in Malibu, in kind of, I was like, California there, and I went out for a swim, and there was no one else really swimming that day, so it wasn't clever, and I did that. And then suddenly, wow, I think I'm going to try and make my way back. And of course, at that point, I realized I ain't going to make it. You've got fractions of seconds to decide what to do next. And I didn't have any hesitation. And I said, God, if you save me, I'll work for you. And then a wave came, a small wave, and just took me. And I had everything I needed now to get back. So people could say, oh, that's a coincidence. Hey, that's the most important coincidence that ever happened in my life. As they say, coincidence is sometimes the way that God keeps himself anonymous. But this was no anonymous. This was me and God. And later I found, then the Quran came to me. And later, of course, I find that verse in the Quran. It says, oh, when the storm comes and they're at sea, they make their religion pure for God. That's it. So all these steps and signs, I was reading and were bringing me closer and closer. What could I do, Russell? What could I do? I had to submit. That's it.
Yeah, I really identify with what you're saying about recognizing that instead of looking for some peculiar dualistic proof of God, the lightning flash or the voice from on high, see in all things the divine beauty of nature and the potent intellect that we can read as being behind it. I identify strongly with that. I recognize those moments of terrified communion with God, and I identify too with what you're saying about feeling that God is all, that it seems like you've always had this yearning, this longing to be at one with God. I recognize that as well.